Hello, everyone. Dr. Allen here, and welcome to Education 380 and or Education 500 if you're a graduate student. Um, Hope you're having a great, break so far from the end of the semester, and if anything, having a great rainy Memorial Day weekend. I'm recording this actually on the Sunday before our class starts. Um, just a few things before we even get going. I do videos each week just to kind of help. I will be the first to tell you these are not Oscar quality. And usually, if I babble or mess up, I usually just keep pushing through because if I was in class, I would do that. And also, I think if I went for pure perfection, I'd probably be sitting around recording all day. So if you see me babble or anything and push through, sometimes I try to edit them out, but just in case, they're not a perfect product, I know, but they are here to kind of help you out with anything. Um, Most weeks I do try to keep them somewhat short. During a spring or fall semester, I would say 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. I will admit, because this is a summer class, I'm going to try to follow that rule outside of week one. Week one takes a little bit longer. Um, but being that we have more things in each week, I may get a little long in how I break everything down. But I will have videos up with the technology for each thing that we're talking about. That might be a little more detail if my voice kind of irks at you or is irksome or anything like that. So, with all that being said, welcome to the class. I think this is a good class. It's actually, I think, a great class to take in the summer because it's usually taught online. And I think there's hiccups here and there, and as always, but I do try to look at my student evaluations and try to tweak some things. That I think need to be done. And also, actually, I'm kind of excited because I'm going to have been trying to update the class in the last few weeks just because we'll get into this, but with AI, there's a lot more technologies that are being used in the schools, and I've needed to kind of freshen everything up. But I'll get into that here in a few minutes. Before we do anything this week, I do want to go over the syllabus, kind of talk about the class. If you were in the graduate section, there's really only one section thing that's kind of different, and it's a paper requirement. I'll talk about that at the very end of this video, so you might have to hang on, but I'll kind of tell undergrads if you don't want to watch the last minute or two, that is fine. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the syllabus. Shouldn't take me too long to go over, and then I'm going to go over what the requirements are for this week. I think this class is pretty straightforward. Um, I will go ahead and say this so I don't forget. I usually work week to week, so as you can see here, there's three blocks or three little modules for week one. That's usually the stuff that'll be open. I will say this, I normally don't do this in the fall or the spring, but I do it in the summer a little more. If I get my videos recorded a little early in the week, I will open like week two up earlier than than Monday. We're going to operate basically from traditionally the first week. I know we start on Tuesday, but normally it'll go from Monday 12:01 to Sunday 11:59 when everything's due. Um, but if I can get some stuff, if I can get ahead of the game a little bit, I will try to open some modules up a little early so you can get to it, just because of the time crunch. I know this is summer classes are awesome because they're short. Summer classes are a lot of work because they're short. So I want to make sure everyone has time to get things done. But by and large, we'll operate week to week. But if I get something open early, I will make sure to email you or make an announcement that you can go ahead and start working on it. So, excuse me, I'm going to fix my camera there a little bit. Um, all right. Well, let's go ahead and look at the syllabus. I'm sitting here babbling. And that is actually, I don't know why I did that, but hold on here. I updated the syllabus and I don't want that one. But that's no big deal because I'm going to open it right now. And dun, dun, dun. Sorry, I thought I had posted it, but I'm like, this is what I was talking about, the first things. This is our syllabus. This is what you'll see when you log into the course. And also, I'm going to email it out probably on Monday, so you'll probably have this tomorrow. Like I say, I'm filming this on Sunday. But for this week, for this class, Dr. Allen, we are an asynchronous class. That means we do not have a formal meeting time. But we do things week to week. Also, assignments are due each week by 11:59, as I mentioned, on Sunday of that week. So we'll start on the Monday, we'll go to the Sunday. I don't want to say I chuckled, but I did notice in my spring evaluations, someone said, "Oh, he doesn't leave things open after the deadline." That is true. I don't. But that if there are emergencies or something where you think you're in a major time crunch, just email me ahead of time. But I do have everything, assignments and all to close at the time that they're due. I was a little surprised to see that comment, but you know what? To each their own. If you do need to meet with me, some are a little quirky because we don't have formalized office hours, but I'm always hanging around. I'm not planning on going anywhere in the next week or two. I might be at the beach for a couple days in June, but give you a heads up, and we can always Zoom if need be. But if I need to come to campus, I actually prefer to meet face to face if possible. Just email me. We can get together, but so by appointment is office hours. Just to give you a summation of this class is about ed tech. Um, Everyone in this class, it's kind of quirky. It seems like the elementary majors take it a little earlier than the secondary majors. So we're kind of all over the place. And then graduate students take it at various points also. So by and large, this class is about technology you're going to see in the field. I will be the first to admit also, I am trying to keep up with everything that I see in the field, everything I read in the field. For a long time, the class kind of was on cruise control somewhat because technology, there was new cool gadgets, but AI has definitely been a game changer, and I'll probably mention it about a million times. I'm also going to go ahead and give this disclaimer related to the technology that we're going to use. I know AI is controversial. I know some students like to use it, some students don't like to use it. I have to admit, I've been using it because honestly, it's something that I feel like in K to 12, I'm seeing more and more, obviously, and I'm seeing it in higher ed. So I'm trying to get familiar with it. Um, this class, we will be using some AI tools, not specifically like ChatGPT or anything like that, but like some technologies that are utilizing AI to, I'm going to say, to be used as a tool or a resource. Like anything with AI, it's got to be used properly. I'll also, just because I'll fully acknowledge, I know some people, because of the environmental aspects with AI, are not always comfortable. I am not asking you to do this after this course. You are welcome to never touch AI again, as far as I'm concerned, or in your teaching. But I do think it is important in the K to 12 world to be familiar with some of the AI tools now, especially because your students are going to be using it, whether you want them to or not. And also, I've been in the field, and I will tell you, a lot of teachers are starting to use AI for a lot of different things. So you might want to at least be familiar with some of the tools. Again, I fully acknowledge it's still a sticky wicket, so to speak, in terms of to use it or not. But we're going to look at it. And I did actually refresh this course this summer. Actually, I've seen some recent tools, and we're going to look at it. Best maybe, and also just to kind of look at them together and kind of you'll do reviews each week, like what do you think's good and what's not good. So anyway, that's kind of the class, but we're going to do a lot of modern stuff. Whoops. And sorry, this I got a new Mac and it gets a little wacky sometimes. There we go. Um, I'm still figuring out my button. I'm not going to go over too much in terms of the actual aspects there. Um, just making sure. Alrighty. As far as course requirements, attendance, obviously we're not a live class, so there's not a physical meeting. One thing you do need to do, make sure that you do though, log in at least, I'm going to say once a week, but I really would suggest logging in once a day just to see, keep you on a routine and things like that. I know with asynchronous classes, it seems like everyone kind of has different approaches to how they do things. Some people like to come at it all in one day. Some people like to chunk things out. I'm fine either way. Um, but just to be on the safe side, make sure you're checking in because you can get behind pretty quick in this class, especially in the summer. Course reading is Tech Like a Pirate. It's a pretty easy reading. They did have it down at the bookstore. I thought it was posted on the website. So if you haven't got it yet, it's a pretty easy one to find. You can even look on Amazon and all. It's pretty cheap. I think you can get it for around 10 or below. If not, it's 15 or below. It's not an expensive book. And I pick it Mainly because I think it is a good practical book. I think if you've had Dr. Johnson, sometimes she does teach like a pirate. I think she's used in her class once in a while. The Tech Like a Pirate's kind of in that similar vein. It just looks at technology from, um, it looks at the technology aspect from a teacher's point of view and ways to utilize it. Um, Our discussion boards will actually be all based on the readings, so you won't be you're not going to be buying it and not looking at it. The chapters are based on everything on them. So I'm sorry, the discussion boards are based on the chapters. Um, don't cheat, obviously one thing. Support services, tutoring, that's all listed there if you need it. We're using Brightspace. Everything will be done on Brightspace. Make sure you email me from Shepherd Emails. That's kind of the main things as far as requirements. In terms of attendance, again, make sure you're checking in. Late assignments, if you are having problems, I'm not a tyrant with this. It's just if it becomes habitual or the same people are turning stuff in late every assignment. But if you're having a tough week or you're just behind or something's going on, just let me know ahead of time. I'm usually pretty flexible in that. But if I don't hear from you, by and large, I will take off 10 points per day that something's late. All of our assignments, basically outside of the big ones, are 10 out of 10. So if it's one day late, you'll get a 9, which is still an A. It's a 90. So, but for each day, it's 1 point off, basically. Um, Anything else? Let's just keep freezing through here. A few of the things that we're going to do in the class, I'll go ahead and talk about these now. You'll hear me say them all the time, but you will have a lesson planning brainstorming activity. That is, it's not a full-fledged lesson plan. I had mentioned some people are at different points. Some of you have not junctured, some of you have. So I don't know everyone's lesson planning backgrounds or levels at this point. So what we do is we kind of do a template that's kind of an outline of a lesson plan. And we'll go over that. That's towards the end of the semester or the end of the course. Discussion boards, there's discussion boards each week. For summer, I do one a week. So there's five, and they'll be related to one of the readings, as I mentioned. They should be around 200 words, um, and they should make connections to the reading and your opinions. I don't penalize for people's opinions and things like that, especially if they're grounded, whether I agree with them or not. Classroom resources, that's kind of a fancy way of saying we're going to do a tech each week. Actually, in the summer, we do multiple techs a week. And for each one that you do, there'll be like something to show me that you gave it a shot. Let me say this also. They're not usually big, deep dives into the tech. It's just to kind of show you what it is. You're going to give me a sample that you've checked it out, and then you're going to submit something on Brightspace. I think I have it on the announcement, but if you're submitting a link of any type, you might want to put it on a Word document because Brightspace is a little weird about that. So you can just put it on a Word document and submit it. But the tech, like for example, if you do a Nearpod, you're just going to create a Nearpod and you're going to submit it to me so I can check it out. Each week you will pick one of the texts that we're doing and you'll do a blog. Um, it's a reflection exercise. It's a good teaching trait. If you remember this from 150, hopefully you heard about TARPs, teachers as reflective problem solvers. That's a Shepherd thing. It's on our website. Um, you can pick the tech of your choice and just kind of give a quick thing like thumbs up, thumbs down, or Rotten Tomatoes. I think this is 90% fresh because of this. I think this is 10% rotten because of this. However you want to do it. Um, where the discussion posts need to have a little bit of meat to them, um, the blogging and reflection can just be a sentence or two. I just kind of want to get an idea of what you think of the technology. It helps me out. Like I've actually updated the technology a little bit with this class because there's one or two things that we were even doing in the spring that I think they've run their course. They were very timely, um, maybe I don't know, a year or two ago, even pre-AI, and now um, I just don't think they're as important as maybe some other things now. Sorry, I was making sure I was recording. What if I got a little delayed there? Um, Last but not least, we're going to do a technology certification. Again, this one's going to be related to Google. and their Gemini AI thing to make sure you're kind of looking at it. It gets into like ways to utilize AI. It's not a hard thing. It's basically our final for this class, but you'll have multiple days to complete it. Um, by and large, oh, and there's an observation exercise. Sorry. One thing I've added to this class, and this is supposed to be a little bit of a fun exercise. When you complete your EdTPA capstone for education, one thing you have to do is, again, reflect. So I'll talk about this in the week that it's due, but you're basically going to pick an educator from something from pop culture, basically like Yoda, and you're going to kind of observe his teaching skills. Or if you've seen the movie a million times, you're just going to write about like what's Yoda's classroom management? Is it good? Is it bad? What you like? What you didn't like? Things like that. And we're probably, I figure most people will be using some form of technology to kind of watch those or have used a form of technology to do it. So most people stream now, I know, but maybe you'll use these things called DVDs or even VHS. I don't know. Um, so that's kind of it. I think you'll find most weeks what's going to happen is you're going to have tech or techs for the summer discussion blog, techs this discussion blog. That's by and large what the first few weeks are going to be like. And as we get towards the last two, you'll have a little bit more written stuff to do. But that's kind of the class, and you can see the list here. I kind of clean it up a little bit, but we'll be looking at Google Classroom, which is, I think, a pretty standard thing. Magic School is a new one I've added. That's going to be due the first week. I actually we used to create websites in this class, but I'm not going to lie. I think there's probably a greater chance most of you are going to see Magic School than a website. And I thought for the purposes and time of this class, I'm going to give Magic School a roll and let you check it out this week. Um, Gamma is another tool that's useful for making PowerPoints. Formative assessment tech is going to be things like Kahoots and GimKit and Blookit and things like that. Google, that should be Google Notebook LM. That's another AI tool. But I will say this. I, I will say this. Let me reset there. I think of all the tools we're going to look at, I think that one last semester, it was a newer one we've been doing, was probably the most popular one. And we'll talk about that. Actually, I think that's week 2. So Diffit is a differentiation type tool. Canva, I have a feeling most people are familiar with. We'll talk about that. Padlet's another one you've probably at least done, and maybe if you don't remember it, you'll know it when you see it. We'll make some QR codes. Again, when I first added that to this class, that was like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? But we're going to do that just to make sure everyone knows how to make one, because every once in a while someone hasn't made a QR code or anything like that. And it also gives me a chance to let you look at some of the tools that you have access to here at Shepherd as terms of working on the cloud and things like that. I mentioned the weekly tech blogs. They're 20 points each. You'll do 5 of them. Same way with the discussions, which I think I had up there, and then the certification. If I'm looking at the 380 syllabus, if you are in Education 500, you do have a research paper, and I'll talk about that at the very end. And there's the point scale. We have 500 points in this class for 380. For the graduate, it's 550 total points. There's a little more of a breakdown and when everything's due. And then the course schedule is on there. I have the weeks outlined in colors just to kind of help. This week, we're going to actually look at, we're going to do discussion 1. We're going to do Magic School. We're going to look at Google Classroom, and we're going to look at Google Arts and Culture, which I think did I list on there? If not, shame on me, but we'll make sure we do it anyway. Oh, that's the intro. So and as you can see, there's week 2, week 3, and as you can see, it gets a little less as we go because the assignments are a little bigger. We're definitely in front terms of the tech, we're definitely front loaded to the first 3 weeks. And that's kind of it with that. So let me get out of there and go back to that. Sorry, I will make sure that's up. I must have done an update. I had loaded the syllabus up last night and it put the old one back up. I might have not refreshed it, or I might have just not done that. So anyway, it will be up and it'll be right there. So with all that being said, I am going to go ahead and start with the week, just to kind of give you an idea of everything that we need to do. If you go, you will see we have 3 little modules. If you click the first one is related to Google Arts and Culture. And that's basically just a little get to know. One thing that's really, I haven't done the numbers. We've got a lot of people between the 2 classes this semester. So what you're going to do, if you are not familiar with this, you're going to probably need to use this. It's your phone. There is a Google Arts and Culture site. If you hit more, it talks, some of the links are there. It's really cool. It does a lot of things, especially with humanities, but it has like websites for museums. It has some cool like lesson ideas, application ideas. Um, it's all very nice. Um, though what I want you to do, and I don't think I posted mine yet, but I'll do it right now. You're going to download when you get it on your phone, go to your apps, and you don't have to keep this on here. And also, I'm going to say this so I don't forget also. Nothing in this class in terms of technology will cost you money. I know some of them will ask for power up deals, or you can go to this type of thing and get it for, like Nearpod's an example. Do you want Nearpod Platinum? No, you don't, unless you really want it, but you will not. There's a free version of it. That's all we need for this class. Um, so same way with this, but the app does not cost anything. But if you type in Google Arts and Culture on your app, you should get something, and hopefully this will work for me so I can show it to you on the camera. Google Arts. There it is. It'll be a little plus sign. I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty terrible, but um, and when you go in there, you can just do a search and you can just type in art selfie. It's just, I don't know if you can see it on there, but it'll look like that. When you do something with the camera, an art selfie, you'll hit art selfie and I'll take a picture. And what it does is it matches my face to a famous work of art. And it gives a little background. My face is, I can tell I'm getting older because I'm getting a little more fatter faces as time goes on. But that's all right. Time, you can't beat it. Once you get that downloaded, and let me go back to it. Pick whatever one, or if you want to refresh them. And if you're not comfortable putting it up, that's fine. I'm not going to make you do it. But I will need you to do one thing. I need you to go to the discussion board, and that was actually on there too. And you will notice the first Google Arts and Culture, once you do it, I would like you to just give a little background on yourself, like just a brief bio, like what's your content area? Are you elementary, social studies, math, PE, etc., etc. Um, and just kind of your interests. I'll have one up for me, but basically it'll say something like, my name is Jason Allen. I'm now entering my 8th year at Shepherd. Full time, I taught mostly middle school for about 15, 16 years. Um, Social studies, hobbies include golf, hiking, reading, traveling. Um, and I'll put my little face on the discussion board. You'll see a model of it. I'll make sure it's up by Tuesday. But you can either attach it, you can download it and attach it, or if you want to screenshot it and put it on there, you might have to email it to yourself. I know it's a little bit of steps to do this, but somehow if you can get it on there, I like to put names to faces when I'm talking to people, and this is just a nice, fun way to do it. And it shows you a little bit of tech. Feel free to check out the app a little bit. Um, I'll have a video up just in case you need it to kind of help. But basically, you just download the app. You find the art selfie, take a picture, put it up on the discussion board. That's it. Nothing fancy, and just give a little brief bio. And by the way, the bio does not need to meet the 200 word status. This is the one where between doing the tech and just giving a brief bio more than meets the 20 points. So that's the first thing you need to do. Go back to content. That's our first little module, and everything's in there. You will notice the West Virginia standards are here. We'll come back to those, and I'll probably move them a bunch, but they are there. And if you want to review the Google Tech, if you want to review the art selfie as your tech this week, you are welcome to do that. I have the blog there. Our next one, I will be the first to admit, this is my first semester or first time adding Magic School to this class. It just keeps coming up when I'm in the field. It's coming up among my colleagues when they're going out and doing observations. So I've just decided to just go ahead and add it. Like I say, I used to do websites. I've decided that I think the websites are important because they're very intuitive, and I'll actually share some of those links if you're interested. But Google Sites is so easy to use at this point. I don't think it's quite as imperative because that's what most people were using at this anyway. When I taught, Weebly was still kind of the one that most people were doing, or Wix. Um, Magic School is basically an AI tool that has a lot of different options. It can help you write rubrics, it can help you create comments, it can help you lesson plan. Um, I am going to give a little disclaimer related to all of this with AI. I know I've already said it, and I know people have different, again, comfort levels and things like that. But don't get in the habit of using AI too much for lesson planning, especially right now. I'm not saying it can't be a tool to like brainstorm ideas and check for grammar and things like that. Um, but there are AI checkers, especially a TPA. So you don't want to get too comfortable or too reliant on it. There's still skill sets. Actually, I put it on here, and I guess I didn't read it because I was just so pumped up to get going. Um, George Couros, he's an education technology, I guess, guru, or um, I think he adjuncts at the University of Pennsylvania. It's a pretty common quote, but I guess he's the guy who gets credit for it now. But basically, it's kind of the idea that technology will never replace great teachers, but in the hands of great teachers, it's transformative. And I guess that's kind of what am kind of approaching it where it's a tool. It's not supposed to be a substitute. We're going to look at these things like Magic AI or Gamma or things like that. I think a lot of times, I can't speak for you all. Where I'm finding I'm using AI sometimes is almost brainstorming, where maybe I'm having trouble getting my wheels going a little bit on something, and then I'll do a little search on AI, and I'm like, oh, and then I expand it. You know what? I'll give a perfect example. I think it's a perfect example. I was doing something, I'm presenting at the National Council of Social Studies in um, Chicago in December, and it's on the 1970s and teaching the 1970s. And I have this list of things that I think need to be talked about and I need to create lessons or activities related to. But I'm always worried that I'm forgetting something that might be important that I'm overlooking. So I did a little quick thing like, what are the top 10 most important historical events in US history during the 70s? And lo and behold, there was one on there because for some reason I had left I don't know why, the fuel shortage that was going on in this 1970s, which was a big thing. And I didn't have it on my list. And I put it on my list and I went from there and started doing my research. So I think it's a tool. It's a tool. But with that being said, I want to show you what you need to do for Magic School. The assignment itself is right here. Um, It'll just say you're going to go to Magic School website. Make sure you create a Google account if you don't already have one. It'll make your life a lot easier for this class because some of the text you're going to sign up for, you can just use your Google account. And that way you don't have to try to remember a bazillion passwords and all. And then once you go here, you're just going to pick any Magic School tool and mess around with it. Nothing more, nothing less. And once you've kind of created something in Magic School, it says school shot it, but that should be screenshot it. I'll fix that. Um, let me fix that right now. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I was coughing a little bit and I did pause. I didn't think you want to see that. Sorry, there was a little typo here. Let's fix that so it is right. Screenshot it and submit. So basically, you're going to go to the site and you're going to go and fix it. I'm sorry, you're going to go, I've just fixed the correction. You're going to go to the um, Magic School. You're just going to mess around with something and you're going to screenshot it. You can even, if you don't know your screenshot code, I mean, usually you can Google it pretty easily. But you can also just take a picture with your phone and submit it. As long as I can see that you did something in Magic School, that's fine. Let me show you Magic School though. The link is right here. And of course, it won't open it right now because my internet is saying it's not connected. So let's do that. Magic School. There we go. I'm logged. Once you get to the site, you log in. I'll fix that link. As you can see, there are tons of things that are in here, and they are actually pretty cool. And as you look in here, like I say, there's a lot of cool things. There's report card comments, there's email responders, there's text summary, there's lesson planning, there's professional email, there's rubric creators. Again, I don't want you to think that this is something that can take away from the human factor. It's a tool, it's something to kind of help you out a little bit. But I did want you to kind of know it was there because I'm seeing this a lot in the field. I saw it two times last semester out of four student teachers. Their teachers were using it, not the student teachers. So I feel like you need to see it. And as you can see, it just goes on and on. There's teacher jokes. I don't care what you try. Um, but once you do it, there's Jeopardy review. But go in, like a lot of times it'll ask for, let's just do this. You'll click one, what grade level you're interested in, number of questions, a topic. So let's just do, I just did a study abroad. We literally just got back on Thursday. So we'll do the history of the Tower of London. That was one place we went. Okay. And as you can see, you can align it to standards. I'm not going to do all that. You can attach files and it'll make more detail. But when you do that, you click this and there's questions right there. Boom, it's created it. Um, I just need you to take a screenshot of whatever you decide to do, and there's your answer key, and go from there. Um, I will say one thing. You'll hear me again say this a million times this summer, this June, I guess, basically in late May. When I do stuff, a lot of times the way I'm finding myself using AI is I'm using my notes. I have tons of typed up notes, so maybe I'm trying to think of questions and things. Again, using it as a tool. But I just want you to experiment with Magic School. I can't get all this right. Magic School. Pick whatever one you want to do. If you want to do jokes, that's fine with me. Whatever. I just want you to mess with it. Let's look at the jokes here. I haven't even looked at the teacher jokes. Where was that? Teacher jokes. Did I miss it already? I guess I did. Oh, let's see. Um, history joke. Let's just do a history class joke. And we'll do one. Why did the history book look so calm during the storm? Because it knew how to handle all the past tense. Wow, that's bad. Why did the skeleton get an A in history class? Because it had a lot of backbone when telling the story. So I think you get the point. Mess around with it. Just submit a screenshot. Again, this is not a deep dive one. I just want you to kind of know that it's there. That's a 10-point assignment. I'll fix that link. I'm glad this happened when I was in there. I went ahead and put in our discussion post there too. It relates to in Tech Like a Pirate, he talks about teachers and the fear of failure. Um, that's one of those things where I think that is a real thing. I think it's not just a teacher thing. I think it's any profession. Um, but it's just asking your opinion about that and what is it about why do you think a lot of educators are scared to fail? And there's a lot of theories on this. No one likes to fail, but it's how I guess we bounce back from it. Matt Miller, the author of the book, actually kind of talks a little bit about that. So check out that. It's one of the very first things in the reading. And he talks about it. And if you want a little more on that, I did include an Edutopia article on teachers and the fear of failure. Not required, but it's kind of a thing with working with new technology. And last but not least is Google Classroom. And actually, did I put that on here? I think I did. I probably should move this down. But one thing you're going to hear me mention a bazillion million times this semester is learning management systems. Only because we're in one. You're going to Brightspace. Brightspace is a learning management system. One thing that unfortunately we can't do at Shepherd, most of you will probably be in Jefferson County or Berkeley County for your field and your student teaching. Not everyone. I know we do some work with other counties, but by and large, Schoology in Berkeley County is their learning management system. Brightspace here. We don't have the money to pay for those for basically one class, especially for the cost that they are. It would be nice. The Schoology used to have free accounts but they won't let us. They don't do that anymore since the pandemic. So I would definitely recommend once you start going out in the field, or if you've been out in the field to mess around with their learning management systems, it's just something to know. I will say this, once you get familiar with one, you can easily adapt to others, and we do have access to one free one, and we're going to go over that here in a minute. But just some key features of learning management systems. I'm not going to go through all these things. By and large, some of the good about learning management system is the course creation and management. It does manage everything in one. It's a one-stop shop. One thing I like about Brightspaces is my PowerPoints are in here for selfish reasons. When I'm teaching a live class, I can just pull them up. Um, when I'm, doing things online here, I can just pull it up. I'm doing a screenshot. So it's very good, very easy. And it helps with content delivery. You can include videos, PDFs. You could this one is actually talking. I liked this page, so I kind of used it, but it's talking a little more about employee training and like videos. But I think that all, it works. It's all education. You can grade in your learning management system and you can do things like that. You can grade in your learning management systems. Um, when it's a nice place. It's everything's kind of there. And also it eliminates a lot of secrets, where, I make everything's turned in this class on Brightspace. There's no lost papers. When I was teaching, that was always something like I had a very organized system, but there would still be someone, oh, I know I turned that in. There's no debate about it on a learning management system. If you require things to be turned in on the learning management system, it's there. Um, there might be errors or issues with the internet connections and things like that. That's a whole other discussion. But by and large, there's a submission box, and what's submitted is there. Um, you can do self-graded quizzes, things like that. So they're a great tool. As you can see, it can also help with communication. Again, I'll just use Brightspace as an example since we're in it. I do a weekly announcement and overview of what we're doing for the week. You will get an email probably on Monday, about what we're going to be doing this week. And the course is opening on Tuesday, which you might already be in here watching this video on Tuesday. I'll do that. And also, I do reminders like, hey, don't forget, we're coming up on the deadline. It helps with communication and things like that. Also, this is a big one, and it's probably something you're not worried about too much at the moment, but can help you a learning management system. A lot of times you can pull data out of it, and it can really help with like trends in your class, like what questions students are missing a lot. Like I had the Tower of London one, maybe they were all missing number two. Well, that might be something that I'm not teaching properly, or things like that. You want to get used to looking at data a little bit because when you come up to EdTPA with Dr. Johnson, looking at data and how it can influence your teaching is a big part of everything. The rest of it I'm not going to get into too much, but here's some key features of it. And with all that being said, the reason why I bring this up, we are going to look at a learning management system. And it is Google Classroom. It's a free one. I have a feeling most of you have seen it before. It was off the rails. I think some counties still use it. I think sometimes it's the beauty is in its simplicity. I think it sometimes is because it is so just base level, it's good. And we're going to make a Google Classroom one here in a second. I'll actually go ahead and hit the assignment. I should have that posted in there anyway. I'm glad I saw that. Getting all types of little errors that I'll get fixed before we go. But for this assignment, you're going to view the video in Google Classroom. I'll put up a YouTube video that's a little more polished too. And also I have a PowerPoint that I've used and when I've done this live to kind of have arrows of what you're going to do. But you're going to you're going to create a Google Classroom. Then when you create it, you're going to do a few things. You're going to post an announcement in the Google Classroom. You're going to embed a YouTube video. You're going to put a hyperdoc in there. A hyperdoc is just a fancy word for a Google Doc or something on the cloud where other people can edit at the same time. It's a workable document. They're really nice. I used to use them for group work. I'm sure most of you are probably better with working at them than I am. But like my son, sometimes I'll see when he's working with other classmates on PowerPoints and things like that, each one of them will work on a slide at the same time. That's kind of what a hyperdoc is. I don't care which ones you can put something on there. You can put a sign up sheet. on a Word document, just like people can fill in as, school dances this week. What jobs are you going to do or whatever? Or we're going to do presentations this week. Put it in there. You are going to send me an invite. Most people just put the class code or the link in Brightspace, and again, they just put it on a doc. But let me show you kind of what I'm expecting. All right, let me move my face, and let me move this. All right, and we're going to get out of that. Let's go to Google. And if we go, you'll see there's this waffle over here. The waffle, you're going to click that. And if you scroll down, Google Classroom should be right there. As you can see, there's different ones I've made just from experimenting before. But you're going to hit this little plus. I'm going to create a class. You can join a class or create a class. The join class is what I do um, when you send me the codes and stuff. But yeah, it's all good. All right. Class name, we're going to go American History. And the rest of this, you can kind of just, how to do it. Levels, we'll say 10th, and we'll say Social Studies, and room 114C. That's my office. As you can see, boom, space is there. You are welcome to customize this and change all this if you want to. Just hit right there. There's your class code. You can just send me that actually, and that should be fine. You should be able to copy it. There's also shared links. Classwork will be in here. We'll talk about that. People that are enrolled in your class and grades are in there. This is all base level learning management system stuff. Um, but basically, what you need to do, if you want to make an announcement, you're going to hit post announcement, and I'll do something like test this Friday on, since I was talking about the 1970s and Watergate. Please study. Post. Boom. There you go. There's one thing. For the YouTube video, you can kind of do this. You can just hit any of these will work. I would just do assignment. You could probably just hit there. Let's just do the 1970s review. Everything that happened in the 1970s. Add video. Video review. Please watch the video of the 1970s immigration test. And that should do it. I'm not worried about you adding rubrics or anything like that in your points and the due date. Well, we'll just do that. What's added since our test is Friday? We'll do that. There you go. And we'll assign. There's my video. And if you look, it should be on the stream. There it is, new assignment. And I can click it and it'll be there. So there's the video. Next, I'll go back to there. I mentioned a hyperdoc. A lot of different ways you can do this. Let's just do an announcement. And we can do it from Google Drive. That's probably the easiest. If you go, you can do, these are ones that I've made in my Google Drive. And there's other things you can upload. You could make it basically in there. Why don't we just do it this way? I think I'm making things a little more complicated than they need to be. So let's do it this way. I'm going to make a little thing here. Let's go and do a doc. Just kind of show you how it works. We'll go plus, please sign up for, how about this? I like this better. Please pick a topic to present on the 70. Include your name and topic. Okay, and let me move my face over again. We'll fix that. Boom. All right, so that's done. And let's go back in here. Sign up for 7 each presentation. And I'll go there and it should be there. Boom. I picked it right there and post. And it's there. There's my assignments. That's what I want you to do in Google Classroom. I just need you to share it. So you can do this. You can send that and copy it. You should be able to also just copy a class invite list. Any of those work. If you do need to if you need to submit those, though, you probably need to put them on a Word doc and just submit them or a PDF or something like that. If you are really in a bad spot, you can email it to me. Sometimes I grade those last, and sometimes you might have to send me a reminder, but it's no big deal. So that's the Google Classroom. Sorry, I'm trying not to be too long, but I know I've been going on for a while. All right, let's get out of this. That should be it for the week. So I will clean up a little bit on there between typos, Magic School typos, and things like that. Um, though, just to rehash for this week, make sure you do your Google Arts and Culture, post the discussion up on the discussion board. Make sure you give Magic School a whirl. I don't care what you do on it. Just do something, try it, screenshot it. Good. Um, I'm still learning that one a little bit myself, but like I say, I thought I'd at least make sure everyone knows that it's out there at this point because, like I say, it seems to be popping up a lot more lately. And the Google Classroom, create a Google Classroom space. I will say this, I don't usually need to say it, but make sure your space is related to an educational type thing. So if you're going to teach science, make it a science-based one. If you're in elementary, you can just make it like your elementary class. Sometimes people will do things like, something goofy, like I'm not picking on her, Taylor Swift fan club site, and they'll do something like nothing against T Swift, but it should be educational related. But there you go. The assignments are right there. If you're an Ed 500, I'll make sure that you're getting a proper shout out on those other ones too, because the classes are they're mirrored. We have so many people in 380 and 500 this summer. I merge them. I did not do that this semester because there's a lot in both. So I just thought we'll just kind of keep them separate. If you are the undergraduate section, you are welcome to kind of jump off if you're tired of hearing from me, which I would imagine you might be. Feel free to kind of step off. If you are in the graduate section, if you can give me just like a minute, I'm going to talk about the class requirement or the researcher requirement for the class. And it is actually going to be on Brightspace. And I think it says C Brightspace, but I can give you a very quick summation of this. Nothing too complicated. Basically, you need to do a 5 to 7 page double space, 12-inch font paper on a technology related topic in education. I don't care what it is. It could be AI, it could be post-pandemic, it could be pandemic effects, it could be a specific tech, it could be how you've seen it used in schools. That's fine. Just something connected to technology. It could be in your discipline. Um, the guidelines for it will be posted, but it's 5 to 7 pages, double space, 12-inch font, and it does need to be an APA. And in terms of sources, 5 sources. That's the long and short of it. That'll be up in your all space. I was in the other space, and I haven't actually put the graduate one up, but I wanted to get this video done. I'm sorry, I do have the graduate space created. I don't have the assignment posted yet, but it will be up when you open the class on Tuesday. So that's basically it. But I just want you to know it's out there. It is open. You can complete that anytime you want. It is due, though, actually, the very last week, I believe I put it is due. Oh, I'm sorry, on the next to last, on the 21st. Just so I have enough time. Because honestly, normally I would do it on the last week. There's a lot of people awesomely in this class for graduate for Ed 500, which is wonderful. I just need time to grade them, grade the papers. So they're due on the 21st. I will have all that in though, and you're welcome to email me with any questions. So with that being said, thank you all very much. Hope everyone has a great week, and I'll talk to you later.